go ahead and get started. My name is Gregory Wilson. I am 13.7 and 59 billion years old. And I am in recovery from Western civilization. And I hope that makes more sense when we're done this evening. This event is coming out of a movement in which there's a group of people emerging saying that we really need to live differently. That the way we have been living is destructive and hurtful, not just to humans, but to the whole planet. And I think particularly in this area, we are struck, and many of us are in grief and are concerned about the Indian River Lagoon, those of us who have recreation and whatever we might do, bird watching, kayaking, fishing, whatever that might be, to realize that something we value is in jeopardy. And so we're concerned about that. But as concerned as we are about that, it really draws our attention that this is just not a local issue. We need to pay attention to our local issues, but it's a global issue. So we have to think globally, but we really have to pay attention locally, and we have to be able to have a conversation that can move back and forth that makes sense. So tonight is part of that conversation. I also want to say tonight in the beginning that I'm hoping that what we communicate is that we are living between two different stories. And the old story, we look at the lagoon, read your newspaper, you know what the old story is. I don't have to go into that. But the new story is a bit different, and I want to take just a minute to kind of talk about the new story, and am delighted to be here tonight because the voices we are going to hear tonight are not voices from the old story. They're voices that are concerned about the outcomes of the old story, but these are voices from the new story. These are voices that are emerging from the earth, and these are voices that are moving us as a community to healing this planet and to healing ourselves. The story. Here you're going to have a 3-minute story about 13.7 and 59 years, 13.7 billion. At one time, and this is my birth story, this is your birth story. At one time, there is just blackness. Now, I don't know whether there was subtle light that began to emerge, or there was just an immediate flaring for 300,000 years that was just a blinding light for 300,000 years, and just this heat and this energy moved for 3,000 years. The beginning of my birth and the beginning of all of us that could possibly be here tonight started there, and then after 300,000 years, there was just a bit of cooling. And in that cooling, there came these ripples. There came these oddities, because it began to cool down, healing, and then hydrogen began to happen. And these ripples, things began to pull together because gravity began to pull things together. And another couple billion years, it's just absolutely amazing, that became the huge, giant stars. And it's just amazing. How could that possibly be? Not only did it become the huge, giant stars, those stars became the furnaces in which metals were being created in those furnaces. And those stars got to the place where they burst, and you had these supernovas, and these metals and these particles began to move throughout. We can't even say the universe yet, because as they began to move, the universe began to come into existence. So they're moving out of nowhere. In my mind, I'm working on how to understand that. I just know it happened. Galaxies, more stars, more supernovas, and then comes a solar system. Then comes our sun. Then comes our earth. And I'm reading this story, I'm beginning to understand the preciousness of this particular planet. Not just that when we think of Earth, but did you know that because of plate tectonics, from the mountains. But because we have those plate tectonics, somehow, the way the plate tectonics are related to the center of the planet, it holds the atmosphere to the planet. The solar winds don't blow our atmosphere away, and somehow that's related to the plate tectonics. I'm thinking, what? Other planets have tectonics, and solar winds blow. There's no chance for an atmosphere. But here on this planet, we have an atmosphere. Here on this planet, that atmosphere enables us to work through oxygen so it gets to the right proportion that it produces life. And we have earth, we have soil, we have water, we have air, and it's all working together. And one day, the human being emerges. One day, you and I are beginning to come into the idea of the universe. About 50,000 years ago, something very curious happens. There's a group of these humans sitting around a fire, and one of them took a stick, and they drew a circle, and said, some fashion, the moon. They began to see symbols. This circle represented the moon. Then they began to create a whole language of the symbol system, and the universe, through us, becomes conscious of itself. Because we are the universe unfolding, just as the earth is the universe unfolding, just as the galaxy is the universe unfolding, so are we. We are the universe unfolding. And we are the aspect of the universe in which the universe becomes conscious of itself. 65 million years, called the Cenozoic period, life just explodes on this planet. And we get colors, we get birds, we get flowers, we get mammals, we get reptiles. Oh my goodness, it's just an explosion of life. And we're coming at the end of that Cenozoic. But we humans, with our capacity to think symbolically, get very creative. And it's a wonderful thing, our creativity, because the art out there is just absolutely wonderful. Your creativity here tonight is just wonderful. But in our creativity and in our capacity to think and have technology, we also have done something else. At the end of this Cenozoic period, we have created a chemical process in which we are actually altering the life systems of this planet. And we are altering whether this planet can, whether the life systems of this planet can continue. We are diminishing the life systems of this planet. And somebody's going to say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The Indian River Lagoon is a life system of this planet. It is. And the chemicals we have put in the Indian River Lagoon are diminishing the Indian River Lagoon. We have done that in our creativity, in our symbolic way we think symbolically. So at the end of that period, now what is happening? We have an opportunity, and this is why we're in between stories. We have an opportunity to make a decision to change our relationship to the planet. Before, the planet simply provided what we needed to live. We didn't think about it, we just had it. If we wanted it, we took it. We wanted gold, silver, we took it. We wanted food, we took it. We wanted soil, we used it up, and we ate. Then we got more, didn't necessarily think organically, we just got more, right? We took it. We can't do that any longer. We have to develop an adult and a mature way of thinking about our relationship to this planet. And in doing that, we have to have a mutuality with this planet, where the way we live is not only life-enhancing for us, but it's also life-enhancing for the planet. It's like when that time some of you, myself, one day my son will realize, I can remember the day that I paid for my father's lunch. One day it switches, and we have to take care of our parents who took care of us. That's where we are. It has switched. We have to take care of the planet now. We are the children, and we have to become the adult. We have to take care of the planet. My hope is tonight that you will hear that voice, and it is called the Ecozoic era. The era called, and the Ecozoic era is the house of the living beings. It's not the house of being just eating the house. It's the house of living beings in a mutual relationship with So what tonight is about, it is about the celebration of us coming to the point of making that decision to be adults, to develop a mutual relationship with the planet where there's going to be a life enhancement of ourselves and the planet as well. That's what we're doing here tonight. Introducing that idea that yes, we are in between stories. We're going to face that decision-making process, and we are going to choose life. We are going to choose life. And to begin tonight, we're going to hear a couple songs by the Dock Street Band. When I first met the Dock Street Band, I was speaking at a church Sunday morning, probably something similar to these issues, and they came up to me afterward and said, yeah, we like that. Let's continue on with what we're doing. Let's pick a night